Oh my gosh, I would be so happy if you were wrong. You're listening to the Creative Faith and Friends podcast, episode number 21.
Oh, I got you, there's no reason to chasing payment on my own, 'cause you're here to stay every night and day. I'm delighted 'cause I got you.
Well, welcome to the Creative Faith and Friends podcast. My name is Melissa Ohlson with pinkpaperpeppermints.com, and I am here today with a very special person and Lauri.
Wow. I don't think I like that intro at all.
That came out so wrong.
Oh my goodness.
I know where I stand. I'm good.
That's not what I meant. We have a special guest host with us today, and we have Lauri, who's our regular co-host, who's also very, very special.
I am special, that is for sure. I've been told that a lot. Hi, y'all.
Our special guest co-host is Michelle. She is on my creative team. And welcome, Michelle. We're so excited to have you here.
Yay.
Hey, y'all.
And you will notice that Michelle's going to fit in very nicely with her accent.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine if she and Jess were both here?
I know.
Wow. That accent fits right in, girl.
I know.
Jessica could not be with us today, so we have Michelle with us today. And we're going to be talking about art journals and prayer journals today. But before we get started, I thought we would let Michelle tell us a little bit about herself. Like, how did you get started crafting, Michelle? And anything else you want to tell us?
Okay, well, I will try my best to keep it as brief as possible because I've been crafting for as long as I can remember, even as far back as elementary school, if that's possible.
That's awesome. Heck yeah.
I was the girl that liked all of the crayons in every color, all of the craft paper I could have. And if my mom ever gave me the typing paper, that was special paper, I felt very special. But I started with quilting was my first endeavor into crafting as an adult after I had my first child. And my mom, when I was pregnant, really wanted me into quilting because that's what she did. But I didn't.
Neat.
Yeah, I didn't feel the urge to do that. So after he was born is when I actually got into it. And he was 5 years old. So you see how long it took me. From there, I went into machine embroidery, where my husband and I both did a business for that. But as you know, in doing something that you love and you turn it into a business, sometimes you get burnt out. So we stopped doing that. I was still quilting at the same time I was doing embroidery. And actually, I still quilt to this day. So just off and on. I did jewelry making for a while. I've done journal making and covers for journals, several different types. I did leather for a while, and then I did fabric for a while, and printable fabric as well now that they have those neat printable sheets of fabric that go right into your printer.
Those are a lot of fun.
And I use a lot of Melissa's printables to do all that. And also, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I actually ride a motorcycle with my husband, and we are in motorcycle ministry and all that goes with that.
That's so cool.
That is cool. What is a motorcycle ministry exactly?
Well, in our ministry, we are a one-on-one ministry, and what that means is we go to rallies and we have a tent set up usually, and we try to get the people to come in and hear someone's story. And what the story consists of is your personal conversion and how you came to know the Lord and how that's impacted your life.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that about me.
What a cool ministry.
It's a great ministry, and there's several different types of ministries. We work with another motorcycle ministry by different names, and we go different places and do different things with them, and they in turn come and help us. So we all have one goal, and that's to tell others about Jesus.
That's awesome.
That must be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of people, but it's a lot of work, but we're all working for the Lord, and that's what I feel led to do. So my husband said to me, can you help me? And I was like, I've never done this. And he's like, great, me either.
And so it goes.
Yes.
We all get sucked in one way or another, right? To doing
Right.
stuff.
And so it goes with crafting, because I
Uh-huh.
stumbled upon Melissa's website and, then by that her videos, and then she had an Instagram
Mhm.
which just exploded.
Well, that is really cool. I rode a motorcycle once. I
Did you
rode on the
drive it?
No, Lord, no. I
Me
rode on the
neither.
back with a
Yeah.
friend,
Uh-huh.
and I was terrified the whole time.
Michelle, do you drive a motorcycle?
I do not. I tried when
Okay.
we first got into it, and motorcycles are really heavy if you didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I'm just
Yeah.
I'm not very tall, so that's another strike against you if you're not tall.
Uh-huh. My husband used to ride a motorcycle, and I remember him telling me, if you can't pick it up, you can't ride it. So I've never driven one.
So, before we start talking about art journals and prayer journals, we have some happy mail, and Lori is going to share our happy mail today.
I am indeed. Our happy mail today is from Lisa328. I'm going to say her name is Lisa. And her comment came on Apple Podcasts, and she said, I love listening to this podcast. I've followed Melissa for a couple years, and I've learned a lot from her. Every podcast, I'm not only encouraged, but I laugh and learn. Keep it up, ladies. Well, I'm glad y'all laugh and learn.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
Me too, Lisa. I laugh too.
Yeah, Michelle, tell us that story you were telling about how.
Yes, when you're crafting away and listening to us.
I always craft and listen to podcasts, different podcasts, but I love to listen to Melissa and Jessica and Lori talk about crafting while I'm crafting because, that's what you do.
That's right.
So I have a pair of noise canceling headphones that I listen to podcasts on, and sometimes I laugh out loud and my family comes to the door and I don't know they're there. And then I see movement out of the corner of my eye and I turn around and everybody's looking at me and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm listening to a podcast.
Oh my gosh, that's
We
funny.
thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
So, Lisa, thank you so much for that comment. Make sure and contact me on my contact form on my website and let me know what product you would like from the shop. If we share your email or your comment on the podcast, then you will get something from the shop as a thank you from me. And so just make sure and contact me with that contact form. And if you're listening and you would like to share something with us or ask us a question, we would love that. Just leave us a comment on the blog or on Apple Podcasts, and then we might share your comment on the podcast.
Yep.
So, okay, well, let's talk about art journals and prayer journals. One of the first things is I just wanted to talk about what an art journal is for anyone who might be new, or maybe you do some type of journaling or crafting, but you have never really made an art journal. And basically, what an art journal is, it's just like a regular journal that you would write in, but it is a visual journal. So you can still write in them. You can combine writing, but usually you're combining it with painting or drawing or creating of some kind to express your feelings or your thoughts or ideas or practice. Another thing that people do is they practice new techniques and ideas that they want to try out. Maybe they want to paint something on a canvas or they want to do something in their regular journal, but they just want to try it out first. And I think we've actually talked about that on the show before. I think Jessica has talked about practicing techniques in a journal.
Yep.
Playing with new supplies is a great thing to do in your journal. You get a new paint or new something and you don't really have an idea in mind of what you want to make. So opening up your art journal and starting to paint and play with it and experiment is a great thing to do with your art journal. Practicing ideas in a smaller form that you want to do much larger is a good way to use an art journal. And of course, obviously, just recording your feelings and thoughts, memories. I've even seen people jotting their to-do list down and they sort of turn that into an art page. So there's just all different ways that you can use it. Have either one of y'all done an art journal before?
I'm thinking about that. But I start many journals, so it is possible that I've started an art journal.
I'm with Lori. I have a lot of journals that I start, and I do have one of the ones you mentioned, which was when you got new supplies. I did get some new watercolors, and I just had bought a smaller journal with watercolor paper in it, and tested out some new to me watercolors. It
Yeah.
was the gouache that y'all talked about, of course. You know.
Oh, yes. I like gouache.
Yes. I didn't have those, so yeah.
Yeah. I just realized I do have a little watercolor journal because for a while, Jess and I were doing watercolor on Saturdays and we just ran out of time and stopped doing it. We started it during COVID, which was great time killer. We had a lot of
Yeah.
fun. But I have almost an entire watercolor journal that, boy, I could use it for something else. Didn't even think about that.
Wow.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I so compartmentalize things sometimes that I forget
Yeah.
I can use it for other things, you know?
Right.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I wanted to say was we talked, I think, about this last episode, I think, but I'm not sure. But just there are definitions to things. People are like, this is an art journal, and this is a
Right.
prayer journal,
Yep.
and this is a faith journal. And really, to me, it's a book with paper in it, and you can call it whatever you want.
That's
I
right.
think that's what I said before. So
We've been
Yep.
calling it an inspiration journal, I thought.
yes, like our journal, we call it an inspiration journal. And one of the reasons I wanted to call it that was so that people could make it whatever they wanted. If they wanted it to be a prayer journal, it could be that. If they wanted it to be a junk journal, it could be that. It's just to inspire you. So yeah,
Yep.
I mean, the name I don't think is as important as what you decide you want to do in it. So for faith art journals, I think the difference between what someone would call a regular art journal, I really don't think there is a difference because you're just putting your feelings and thoughts into it. And some people's feelings and thoughts involve the Lord and some
Right.
people's don't.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
So,
For sure.
Yeah.
you know, for me, like I love incorporating Bible verses and prayers and lyrics to hymns and things like that because that's just what I think about all the time. And so that
Yeah.
comes out in my journaling.
That's exactly what's in mine. I don't know. I don't really call them different things. I mean, I do call my prayer journal something different because that does have written prayers.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the one I'm talking about with that is the one that you put out. But now my art journal or faith journal or whatever, I always, and I've just always done this. I've always either put a verse in it or at least on one page or a hymn in it or you know, taped a
Yeah.
hymn into it. And like you said, that's just part of who I am. So every journal that I have has either scripture or a hymn. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't separate those.
Yeah, me either. And I actually I have written down here too on the difference between art journals and prayer journals. And I think an art journal can be a prayer journal, but I think some people like very specific prayer journals, which is kind of what the one that you refer to, the printable one that I make.
Mhm.
It's very specific because it's got a little bit of a devotional. It's got questions and answers, places for you to study verses for you to write and journal. But then it's also got blank pages so that you can do some art around those prayers and those verses. So it's kind of a combination, I guess. But I've noticed that some people actually, in the blank pages that I intended for art, some people are just filling those up with notes, which is
Oh,
fine
that's
too.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe doing art in a different book.
Mhm.
Well, that's what I do, except that I take the notes section and those verses that you left at the bottom. I got into the habit last year of doing what they call scripture writing,
Mm-hmm.
which is a list of scriptures that you write out longhand. And to
Mhm.
me, that helps me commit that verse to memory, even if I'm only writing it once. That
Yeah,
day,
absolutely.
I remember that verse. So that's how I use your journal, your notes section in your journal, is I take those extra scriptures at the bottom, and no matter how long they are, I write them all the way out.
That's a great idea.
Wow,
I like
yeah.
that.
That's also gonna make me when I'm choosing the scriptures now, I'm gonna be like, "Ooh, this one's really long." Michelle's gonna have to write
that.
Okay, don't do that. Don't do that, because what I do then, if it's too long, I take your cards, ones that you have the pocket for, and I write them on
Uh-huh.
the cards and I washi them into the book.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, yeah, that's a
pretty
good
smart,
idea.
girl.
And we did all that in my Heart of Thanksgiving when we did those waterfall cards. Some of that was so long that we did the waterfall, and that's how I do them if they're really long.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that is. I like that. Then you can make a shaker on top of your writing.
You can?
Ooh,
A
that's
scripture
a
shaker
really
fall.
good idea. Scripture
Yeah.
shaker fall.
Yeah,
Oh, I love
that.
it.
The wheels are turning, but I'll forget about it in a minute.
Oh, no. I'll remind you.
Well, when you listen to this, we were joking about this, how when we listen back to the podcast, we're like, I don't remember saying
Oh
that.
my gosh, it's terrible. Y'all, every week, Melissa sends out an email to her subscribers and announces our podcast. And inevitably, she says something about the podcast, like, the closet of shame. And I'm like, I wonder what the closet of shame is. I was there when we recorded it and I didn't remember. It's terrible. We don't record that far out, just FYI.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting. That's for sure. Oh boy.
So, okay, well, I wanted to mention a couple of books if you want to get some inspiration for art journaling. And there are a couple of books that I found. One is called 1000 Journals, and they compiled all these art journal pages from different artists, and it's really inspiring. I mean, there are some that I don't care for, because people journal things that are not my thing, but there's not that many of those. I think you can always learn from anything, even if the subject matter is not something that you would journal.
Yeah.
Just the techniques and the style and the colors. And I just love looking at other people's journals. And it always inspires me. And a lot of times it doesn't even inspire me to do the thing that they did. But when I look at it, for some reason, it triggers a different idea. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so I love that. So it's called 1000 Journals. And then the other one, this is actually several books, is Dina Wakley has a series of books on art journaling that are fantastic. And she teaches classes. And so I think that really comes out in her books, the teaching side of it. And she's just really good at that. And plus, they're just beautiful to look at. So I will put the links for those in the show notes, but those are a couple of really good ones.
You know what else is good, Melissa, while you're talking about books, is Somerset Magazine.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, is it Somerset Studios? I don't have one in front of me. I think it's Somerset Studios.
Yeah.
But and they also have an art journaling. I have not seen that one. I think I've ordered one, but it hasn't gotten here yet. Once a year, Somerset has a big sale where you can get back issues for a super low price, like a couple dollars or, depending on what it is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So last year I ordered, I don't know, 5 or 10 of them for not that much money. And even though the styles have changed since then, or the issue is mainly focused on something that I don't particularly like,
right,
I still get ideas from it.
Yeah.
I love this color together, or I love these pages together, or I love this technique or whatever. So it's just really neat. Even if they're old and kind of quote unquote outdated, you can certainly still get some great ideas for them.
Yeah,
using them.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to tell me when that sale is the next time, because I didn't know about that.
I will do that. I will let you know for sure. I think it's coming, but I'm not certain. Do you subscribe to them? You should subscribe to their email list.
I thought I used to be subscribed to them, but I don't know. I haven't gotten anything from them in a while. You know how sometimes your email will just decide you don't like that anymore?
Yeah.
I sure do.
Yeah.
So annoying.
Yes, it is.
But somehow I still always get the ones that I don't want. Right?
Yeah,
Of course.
all the junk still comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that.
So, okay, well, I wanted to talk about some different books that you could use for art and prayer journals. I mean, obviously, I have printable traveler's notebook inserts and a printable prayer journal that you can use. And I really like those. Sometimes you just want something done for you. You don't want to have to go make the whole thing yourself.
Right.
And
Right.
even though I made this, a lot of times I will go find one of my old traveler's notebook inserts and print it out, because I'm not in that mode where I want to make it from scratch. I just want to start something and I want to have it kind of already planned out for me. So those are really good for that. But also moleskin journals. I don't know. Am I saying that right? How do y'all say moleskin? Do you say moleskin or?
I think if I remember correctly, it's been a very long time since I ordered one, but I think the proper pronunciation for that brand is Moleskine.
Moleskine.
That's what I think. I'm pretty sure. Hold on, I'm gonna check while we're talking.
Well, I'm going to keep saying moleskin.
Well, that's what I thought it was, but words.
Right, exactly.
Well, moleskin, though, is what you put on your foot if you have a blister.
And it's also a journal.
I'm going to find it and I'm going to tell you.
Okay. I knew you would, Lauri.
Of course.
I knew you would.
Are you going to duck it?
No, I don't duck. Only the other two duck. I don't duck it.
What do you do, Michelle? Do you duck or do you?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I do
G
the
word.
other one. I do the G word.
Yeah.
So anyway, whatever they're called, they're really good journals. They have really nice paper and they make them in all different sizes. And one tip that I have is they make dated calendar books, but at about this time of year, maybe a little bit later than where we are right now, they go on clearance everywhere because obviously you're getting towards the end of the year and people aren't going to buy them anymore. So those are great to buy for an art journal because they're outdated. You can get them at 50% off, sometimes even more, 75% off, and you still get the beautiful paper and the beautiful cover. And then you just, gesso the pages and paint over it. And nobody knows it has an outdated calendar underneath it.
Yep.
And actually that showing through the paint sometimes gives you an extra layer and looks really good. So that's just a tip if you want a journal that's already made.
It's a good idea.
Composition book journals. I've seen some really neat journals people have made just from composition books. And those are super cheap right now at this time of year too, because of back to school. You can get those for just ridiculous, like 30 cents each.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's crazy.
Well, that's actually what I am currently working in because when you released your clip and collage collection and I saw that it had the full papers, the 8.5 by 11s, I was like, I need a bigger journal. And so when I saw that composition book, I was like, perfect. 50 cents, I'm on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know if, anybody's been following along on my Instagram, but if you've seen my pages lately, you can tell that it's because I don't like for my full background to cover those lines. It, like you said, it doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and it gives an extra layer.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's a really good idea for the collage papers. I had it in mind tearing them into pieces and using them for different things, but they are really good backgrounds just by themselves and really good for when you don't want to have to think too hard and have it already done for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially those the ladies of ledger that you came out with, even the blank ledgers that you had in there that just had the writing. Those are perfect for me
for backgrounds.
Yeah, because that's what I like in my backgrounds. It's just a little bit of something that I can paint over or put a wash on, and you're started already that way.
Right.
So.
That's a good idea. I like that. I'm going to have to try that.
Those were especially for Lauri because she loves ledger papers.
I do. I love ledger paper. It makes my heart so happy. Oh my goodness. I don't know what it is. Grids, ledger, all of that.
Me
I love
too.
it.
So I will make sure and put Michelle's Instagram in the show notes, but also on the creative team page, we have everyone's links to where you can find them. But I will make sure and put her Instagram so you can check out what she's been up to on Instagram. So are any other journal books that are pre-made that you guys can think of that?
I don't remember if we talked about this. If we did, it's been a long time, but you can get the Wreck This journal. Did we talk about that?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think we have talked about that.
Oh, I love it. Jess and I started it together. I haven't worked in it quite some time, but I love it. It's so fun. It's such a fun book. And it gives you prompts on each page, like put fruit stickers on this page. So every time you get a piece of fruit or something, you put the sticker on there, or pull this apart, tear it up, and put it on another page, something like that. It's just a fun little journal. So there you go.
That is really handy when you just don't know what to do, but you feel like making something. Having a journal tell you what to do is really fun. Wow. So we will put a link to that in the show notes as well.
And even just a spiral notebook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You could use really anything.
Definitely.
Any kind of paper.
So, okay, well, I wanted to talk about some kinds of journals that you can make yourself. And what I thought I'd do is talk about the different kinds that I've either made or seen. And then what I'll do in the show notes, I will put links to my videos that are tutorials on how to make them, or tutorials that I've seen online. I'll put that in the show notes. I know it's hard to picture when we're talking about it, but you can go to the website and see there. either videos or pictures.
Yeah.
The first one is envelope journals, which I just love, love, love so much. Have y'all made envelope journals before?
No.
Not a full journal. Now, the inspiration journal that I was just talking about, which is the composition book, I had a piece of junk mail envelope, like a brown envelope. And I had leftover pieces from the Clip and Collage collection. And I had some leftover pieces from your new scripture cards from Clip and Collage. And some other bits and pieces from this month's prayer journal. So I decided to do just that and collage it on that envelope. And
Oh.
I folded the envelope in half because it was like a big one, and then I washi taped it into the front.
Great. That's a great idea.
And I store my extra bits in there that I might need to put in my journal.
Oh, I love that. Do you have a picture of that on Instagram?
I do not, but I can get you one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
So, Melissa, have you made an entire book out of
Yeah.
a lot of envelopes? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, it's so fun. Envelopes are one of those things, like, you know how, Michelle, you were talking about you loved supplies when you were a kid. I did too. And envelopes were one of those things. When my parents would open mail, I'd be like, can I have the envelope? Can I have the envelope?
Oh my gosh, how cute.
Because I don't know what it is. I loved envelopes so much that I would just hoard them, and then I would color on them and tape them together and stuff. And so I still do that now. And if you put envelope journal in the search, you'll see on Pinterest or whatever, there are tons of different ways to do it, where you put the flap into the envelope. You take an envelope, open up the flap, take the next envelope, open it, and put the flap into the open envelope. So you're basically gluing the flaps inside the envelopes to each other, and then it creates this book. And another way to do it is to take a manila envelope and say maybe an 8x10 manila envelope and turn it sideways, a stack of them, and fold them in half, and then just sew up the middle. And so now you have this book that it has an envelope on one end, and on the end that's sealed up, you can just cut that end off and make it to where both ends are open so that you can stick things in there, and then they stick out the ends. So that's really fun too. And you could do that in traveler's notebooks. When you fold an envelope in half, I've done this before where I've not folded it in half, but I've just taped two envelopes together.
Yes.
And then that becomes the pages, and you slide those into your elastics, and all your pages are envelopes then.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do, and it's really fun. Another thing is sometimes Target and the dollar spot has those, and this is the time of year they do it too, those clear jelly envelopes.
Oh, cool.
Whole envelopes or pockets?
They're envelopes.
I haven't seen those.
They've got flaps on them that have like the little plastic snap closures.
Yes.
And I think I have a video. I know I have a video on things that you can make with envelopes in your journal. And then I think I have one where I show, it might be on Instagram though. I'll find it, but I'll put it in the show notes.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Where I used some of those jelly envelopes in my journal. And those were really fun to do too, because you can put stuff in them. Like Michelle said, keep all your little bits and pieces. Once you start cutting your printables out, you can put them in there, or ephemera or whatever you have.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I love that.
Well, and Melissa, you did that. You were the one that did the envelope for last year's My Heart of Thanksgiving. You connected the envelopes with fabric, right?
I don't remember.
I think you may have at some point, because I think I tried it.
I think I did. Yeah, I think that was Heart of Thanksgiving last year.
Yeah, because when you first said that, I was thinking, oh, she made a whole book with those fabric connected envelopes.
Well, I've probably seen your book then.
Yeah.
But as we've already established, I just don't remember it.
I know. I have a hard time remembering what I've made, so I can imagine that you have a hard time remembering what you watched.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
But let's see. And then paper bag journals.
Yep.
I'm sure you've heard of those before.
Yes.
There's an artist, her name is Judy Wise, and I will link her in the show notes. And she does this really cool thing with paper bags where she gets them wet and crinkles them up and then lays them flat and dries them out. And so then they make this paper that's kind of like leather almost.
Oh.
Wow.
And then she paints them and makes journals out of them, and they're really, really cool. But then you can also just fold paper bags, and there's neat ways to fold them and cut the ends off to make a journal out of. And that's another one of those things that I used to have an obsession for when I was a little girl are the little small lunch sack paper bags.
Mhm.
Did,
Yeah.
did y'all like those when you were a kid?
Yes.
I don't think so, but I like them now.
I actually liked the ones that were smaller that when you go to the feed and seed store and they put your seeds in a little small brown paper
Yeah.
bag.
Yes. They had little white ones too. They're little
Yeah.
tiny white ones. And when my youngest son, who is about to be a senior in high school, was a baby, I went to Sam's one time and I bought a package of 500 of those little white lunch
God,
sacks.
did you
And
really?
I still have them.
Wow.
I'll
I
bet you
bet
do.
you do.
You know what? I'm pretty sure at Costco I got an entire enormous box of envelopes,
Yeah.
and I still have many of them. And I think that may have been before I had kids, and my youngest just turned 17. So yeah, it's been a while. I get it.
But I cannot resist bulk packages of paper.
Mhm.
It's very
Oh my
hard
gosh.
to resist.
Mhm.
That's why I'm not really allowed to shop at Sam's anymore.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I love office supplies. I mean, even before I started creating,
Yeah.
I would just hoard office supply. Like I could
Me
just go
too.
into an office supply store and comb every aisle and look at all the papers and all the calendars and all the things. I loved
I
it.
know, me too. What
Okay.
is that? I love
don't know.
the pens and
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
just everything in the office supply store. I just
Yep.
love.
Don't even get me started on pens.
Oh my gosh, no kidding.
Okay, so we did envelopes and paper
Mhm.
bags, index cards. You could do a whole art journal with index cards. And there's a challenge that they do every summer where it's like index card a day. Have y'all seen
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Mhm.
I did
And
see that.
so if you do that and you paint or do something cool on an index card every day for 30 days, now you've got 30 pages that you can make into a little journal.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And then it's not as overwhelming if you're working on just one little card every day.
Yeah. How would you bind them?
Matchbook.
Yeah. A matchbook would be really cool.
Oh.
You could sew them
Mhm.
on the short edge,
Yep.
or you could do kind of the tape thing that we were talking about with the
Yes.
envelopes where you butt
Mhm.
them next to each other and then tape them together. You could hole punch and just do them kind of like with a binder ring.
Mhm.
So, yeah, there's tons of ways to do that. Another one that, and I will put a picture of this in the show notes. Actually, I might have an index one picture to show you too. I will put a
Index
link
card.
in the show notes of the index card and then deli paper. Deli paper
Yes.
journals are really cool. Like when you gel print them and then it doesn't have to be all deli paper. It can just be ledger paper and deli paper, just all your
Mhm.
gel prints and then make those into a journal. That was one of the first kind of junk journals that I ever made. And I have pictures of it on Instagram, but I'll put them in the show notes
Oh,
too.
yes, I'd love to
Yes.
see that.
But it's
Mm.
so fun. And you have fun making the gel prints and then you put them into a journal. And now you've got this journal. You could almost not do anything to it and it's done because it
Yeah.
looks so pretty with all the paint. But then you can add things to it and you can journal over it and you can put more paper on top of it and journal over that or add tags to it to journal on. It's just a really, really pretty look.
Ooh, I
And
like
then
that.
I like that.
file folder journals too. Have y'all seen the file folder journals?
I am not sure. I don't know.
There's all different ways to make them. Actually, Ingrid, who used to be on our creative team,
Yes.
she has a tutorial video, which I will link that in the show notes of one that she made.
Yes.
That is really cool.
I have made
And
I have made one of those. It's a great tutorial. Hers is amazing. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
perfect. That's exactly what I did.
you made the
I
one that
did.
she did.
Yes.
Yeah, she is very creative, and
Oh
I
my
loved
gosh.
her
Yeah.
journal.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what else? Any other handmade journals you guys can think of?
Notebooks?
Yeah.
Did we
I
talk about
think
those?
we said that in the beginning, like printable traveler's notebook inserts.
Well, now I mix mine sometimes with your printables and scrapbook paper.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Have you
Yep.
done
Yeah,
that?
and vintage papers and book
Yeah,
pages and
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
And I love to mix and match the different traveler's notebook inserts that I have too. I have a couple that are all vintage linen papers, and then I'll take some of the pages from that and mix it with one that's got painted papers, and I've got one that's all hymnal pages, and I'll mix the hymnal pages in,
Mhm.
and then you get a really cool kind of junk journal-y feel.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about starting. You want to have an art journal, but you have no idea how to start. And we've just given you a bunch of ideas on ways that you can make a journal and things that you can use to buy a journal. And as far as starting, the first thing that I would say, you sit down, you've got your journal made now, and you're looking at a blank page.
Mhm.
The first thing is to just decide a theme or what do you want to practice? A technique that you want to practice or a supply that you want to play with? For themes, maybe you're just feeling really, really happy and you just want to express joy. And so that would be a theme. And so when you give yourself a theme to start with, I think it makes it a lot easier to decide what you want to do or what colors you want to use. If you're feeling really depressed, you obviously are not going to use the same colors as if you're feeling really happy.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's
maybe
not
you
likely.
will.
Maybe you will, but it's probably not likely. I agree.
Yeah. So once you do that, pick a theme. Then you want to create a background. And we were talking before the show, Michelle, and you had an idea about backgrounds.
Right. You had mentioned a pearlescent paint that you couldn't get anymore. Well, I found one that I would say comparable to it, and it's just in your local store. It's the Delta brand Cremacoat, and it's called Pearl Finish.
Okay, just FYI, just words.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say it's Ceram coat.
Ceramic
like
coat.
ceramic coat.
Okay. Ceramic.
But
I like Cremacoat
I do
better,
too, actually.
personally.
I'm going to look and make sure that I'm right. I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh, I would be so happy if you were wrong.
I know you would. Surely I have one here. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay, well, while Lauri finishes correcting me, I have the pearl finish and the metallic silver finish, but I want to look for a pink one. So
Oh, yeah.
I will let you know because I
Ooh.
have something that I want to put in my inspiration journal, but I need the pink. So tomorrow I'm going to go look for the pink. And you can get these at, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, wherever they sell all of the little craft paint bottles. They come in like the 2-ounce,
Well, girls, alas, I am correct.
ceramic coat.
It's Ceram coat.
Ceram coat.
I'm going to call you Jess in this instance.
Okay. Sorry, Jess. Got it wrong.
I love you, girls. I love you, Jess.
Okay, so anyway, yeah. So when Michelle told me that, I was like, oh, you have to tell them on the show, because if you listen to that episode, it was episode 12 where we talked about backgrounds, and I believe that's where I talked about the Martha Stewart moment of silence that's gone now,
right?
Pearlescent pink paint. And so I was really sad that they discontinued that. So when Michelle told me that this I don't know if it's new to us paint is a lot like that with the pearlescent, I was like, oh, you have to tell us about that. So we will link that in the show notes too. So
that's so not what I was thinking of when Michelle told us that she had found a dupe. Because
oh, really?
No, I was thinking of the Artist Loft,
the iridescent
medium. Yes.
Yeah.
So I did see that at Hobby Lobby. Liquitex has a couple of iridescent mediums. So but I haven't tried them. So there you go.
I love those, and I think that you can add those to a colored acrylic paint, and they will give you that iridescence in the color that you choose.
Maybe you can make your own Martha Stewart pink paint.
I never thought of that.
We'll come up with it and we'll market it and we'll sell it. So message us if you'd like to buy some Martha Stewart pink knockoff paint. Melissa's going to mix it in her garage.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lauri's always trying to get me to start new businesses. I'm barely keeping my head above water right now. So,
and Lauri's the only one without a business. Lauri should probably start it.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I hope we gave you a lot of ideas for art journaling and prayer journaling, and there will be a lot of pictures and things in the show notes, so you can take a look there. And for your challenge for this week, what we want you to do is create an art journal page. And again, we'll have examples for you in the show notes if you're not sure what that means, where you just express something about how you feel, ideas. Maybe you want to practice, like Lauri was saying, she had one that with watercolors when Michelle practiced something. So maybe you want to just practice with some supplies. It can be whatever you choose. But we also have a scripture of the week that we like to give you to kind of help inspire you on what you might want to create. And so this week, our verse of the week is Psalm 92, verses 1 and 2. And it says, "It is good to give thanks to the Lord and to sing praises to your name, O Most High, to declare your loving kindness in the morning and your faithfulness every night." And I love that verse so much. I was telling Lauri before the show that I really had a hard time sleeping last night, and I made the mistake of turning the TV on, and then that just made me stay up later. And then I was all stressed out about the stuff that I saw on TV. So
Melissa, if you're going to watch TV before bed, you have to be very selective.
I know I
Yes.
should have put it on craft videos.
It's
is what I
Golden Girls all the way.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So
Sometimes I feel like this is a Golden Girls episode.
Wait a minute here, Michelle.
Well, y'all were talking about age the other day.
Yes,
Yeah.
we were. Melissa's 100, and you and I are real young, Michelle.
Right.
Well, the Lord is renewing my youth like the Eagles.
Amen to that.
But I'm still going to wear brooches.
Oh, no.
You'll have to check out episode 20 if you want to know what we're talking about. But I love that verse because I feel like the Lord really put that on my heart today, because it talks about declaring your loving kindness in the morning and your faithfulness every night. And I think that just spending time in his presence a little bit in the morning and a little bit at night, or a lot if you have time, and even throughout the day, the more that you can do that, the more in his presence is fullness of joy, the word says. And it's so much better for your mind, especially in the times that we are living in right now. You can't even really put on craft videos on YouTube without getting some news video pop up that you don't want to know about.
Oh,
I
yeah.
take a lot of satisfaction in pressing that not interested button on those. But still, you get that in your face a lot. And if you focus on that and don't keep the word in the forefront of your mind, it can really weigh on you, which is what happened to me last night. So I was really blessed when the Lord showed me that verse, and I really wanted to start. And I think it goes along really well with our theme of art journaling, because if you keep a little journal by your bedside, you can just, like Michelle was saying, just write the verse out. Pick one verse and write it out, just your favorite one. It doesn't even have to be a different one. It can be the same one every morning and the same one every night, but just any way that you can get that word in you, I think is really helpful.
Absolutely. I wake up a lot at night. I just don't sleep super soundly. But I have found if I just start praying, I usually think about my son who's off in the Army, and I don't know, the time difference and everything. I usually wake up right about when he's getting out of bed, bright and early in the morning. So I just pray for him. And usually I fall asleep praying, which I kind of like. I used to feel a little guilty about it, but it just calms my mind and to talk to the Lord. And I just fall asleep talking to him,
Yeah. What about you, Michelle?
I think the same thing. I used to sleep with a pad and paper beside my bed because the Lord would wake me up with stuff, and I would need to write it down because you're not really conscious so much at night, and you just need to write down what he said to you in the middle of the night so that you can study more on it and feel like that you know what he's speaking to you and to your heart.
Yeah. Another thing that I do, Lauri and I were talking about this before the show too. I'm sorry we talked about so much without you guys.
That's okay. We'll bring it up again. It's fine.
Yeah. But I like to put on preaching playlist on my iPad and listen to it as I'm falling asleep. And then you've just got word. And then Lauri, you said you do something like one step better than that.
Yeah. I sometimes will have just the Bible app read to me a couple chapters. I finally figured out, because you have to dig. It's not that hard to find, but for me, I had to dig just a little bit. But you can set a timer on your Bible app and you can just have it read until it's 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. Yeah, which I like doing. It's very soothing, because sometimes it's hard for me to quiet my mind at the end of the day. It's hard for me to not think, oh, should I have done this? Should I have done that? Should I, it all goes through your head at night. So I like being able to focus on the Lord.
Yeah, I love that. I had listened to preaching tapes, but I had never thought of doing the audio Bible, which I think is just such a great idea, because it's just pure word going in while you're falling asleep. So. Well, okay. So that is our challenge for your inspiration journal this week. And be sure, if you participate in the challenge and create an art journal page with that verse or with our theme of art journaling, that you use the hashtag Creative Faith and Friends, because every week we are looking for people who are participating in the challenge that we can give prizes to. And Jessica and Lauri and I are taking turns giving away prizes. And this week it is my turn to give away the prize. And I'm super excited to announce that Ramona, who is at Blessed and Callie on Instagram, is our prize winner this week.
Congratulations.
So, Yeah, thank you so much for participating, Ramona. So contact me with your information and I will have a code for the shop for a prize for you. And if you would like to win a prize, make sure you participate in the challenge this week. And before we go, we want to let you know where you can find us online. Michelle, where can we find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram at Michelle, and that's SEW_Michelle, and that's MICHELLE.
Okay. And Lauri, where can we find you?
I am on YouTube and Instagram as Measure Once, Cut Twice with periods in between the words.
And you can find me at pinkpaperpeppermints.com, and I'm pinkpaperpeppermints on all my social media, and I would love to see you there. So thank you all so much for joining us. We can't wait to see you next week, and we will see you then. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Well, we were having such a good time, we completely forgot fun finds. We had some great ones too: hand-dyed appliques, chunky glitter tool, and vintage punchinella. I'll have all the links in the show notes for you for those, and we would love to know if you ever have bulk purchased a treasured art supply like my paper bags, and do you still have it? We would love to hear the story about that. Leave us a comment on my blog at pinkpaperpeppermints.com/podcast and let us know. And you can find the links to everything we talked about in the show notes, and the links to the things we forgot to talk about in the show notes at pinkpaperpeppermints.com/021. And if you have a moment to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we would be so appreciative of that. It helps us to get found in the iTunes universe and connect with more people like you. I'm Melissa Ohlson, and I hope you have a week filled with peace and grace, and we will see you next time on Creative Faith and Friends.